Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk are seeing tremendous backlash that is happening right now. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it appears that Maga has turned on Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. Now, this is in reference to these H-1B visas. There's a lot of meltdown that's happening on social media. Let's start from the beginning and walk our way through this crazy, bizarre timeline that has happened over the past 48 hours. Let's go ahead and dive into it. This story also made its way to CNN, of all places. Of course, they are, I guess, laughing about this because they're saying, oh, God, look at Trump's administration starting to melt down already. And then I want to get to the part about what this is really about, because at the end of the day, this isn't just about Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk. This has to do with exploitation of the workers. And I feel that this part really needs to be driven home. Let's go ahead and get started with this clip here from CNN.
Tonight, as President-elect Donald Trump is preparing for a widespread immigration crackdown when he takes office 25 days from now, we're seeing a crack between some of his top advisors and his MAGA base. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are both facing major blowback from their own supporters for not only backing, but encouraging offering more visas to highly skilled foreign workers. Over the Christmas holiday, Musk posted this online saying, think of this like a pro sports team. If you want your team to win the championship, you need to recruit top talent wherever they may be. He later added, I'm referring to bringing in, via legal immigration, the top 0.1% of engineering talent as being essential for America to keep winning.
Now, why is this a problem for the MAGA base? Because, of course, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy have been on this America first, ideology. They said we have to put Americans first. We have to put America first. And now here they are being willing to put other people first. And I sounded the strong alarm about Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk over the past year. When Vivek Ramaswamy was running for president, I sounded the alarm about him. I said that Vivek Ramaswamy is looking out for his best interests. Remember, he's an entrepreneur. You cannot forget that. Both of these guys are entrepreneurs, so they're also thinking about what is going to help their business. This is something just to keep in mind. But I tried to tell people back then, when you see what Vivek Ramaswamy said, I think I just want to remind you that when he was running for president, he was talking down to Black people over and over again, including his interview on The Breakfast Club, saying that, oh, Black people just need to work harder and stop being a victim and all this jazz, right? But now that he is pointing fingers at white Americans as well, there seems to be tremendous backlash. And this goes back to what I've said before. Remember what I told you guys. The same policies and the same criticisms, more so policy, I guess, that are implemented towards Black people will eventually make its way to lower class white Americans. I talked about this with the healthcare industry. I told you how the reason why we didn't have universal healthcare, the historical reason, besides, of course, these corporations, is because they didn't want Black people to have health insurance. I told you this about Social Security. And now you're starting to see that once again, another example of the crackdown, the talking down to Black Americans with a different issue. This is the job issue, has now found its way over towards white working class as well. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? Let's get back in. Oh my God.
He's talking about H-1B visas, which allow employers to hire highly skilled foreign workers. Musk, who himself is from South Africa, said that he once had this kind of visa, and he's arguing that Silicon Valley is facing a shortage of excellent engineering talent, as he put it. But the annual cap on those kinds of visas right now is at $65,000, with another $20,000 for those who get a master's or a doctorate in the U.S. Musk is being backed up by his partner in Trump's government efficiency initiative, Vivek Ramaswamy. He says it's a cultural issue that there aren't more competitive engineers in the U.S. Here's what he said online. A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers. A culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World or Zach and Slater over Screech and Saved by the Bell or Stefan over Steve Urkel and Family Matters will not produce the best engineers. But that argument is not going over well with Trump's MAGA base, certainly not online. Some of them saying, we did not ask them to engineer an immigration policy. Tech wants indentured servants, not high-skilled workers. You don't even know what MAGA immigration policy is. Now, Trump himself, who I should note restricted H-1B visas in his first term, has said on the campaign trail this time around that he did want to make it easier for educated foreigners to work in the U.S.
What I want to do and what I will do is you graduate from a college, I think you should get automatically as part of your diploma a green card to be able to stay in this country. And that includes junior colleges too. Anybody graduates from a college, you go in there for 2 years or 4 years. If you graduate or you get a doctorate degree from a college, you should be able to stay in this country.
Now, I just want to remind everybody, because I covered that interview. That was Donald Trump with the All In podcast, him and other billionaires. There's David Sachs over there in the upper right-hand corner. I did warn people about this interview because I told you, what does that mean for American workers? I tried to sound the alarm there. And this is coming from someone, again, I worked in higher ed. I was there through the process when students were enrolled in these programs that I was overseeing. And I was also there when the students would graduate and they were looking for their job search. And so I know a little bit about the H-1B visa process. And I tried to sound that alarm to people. Let's look a little bit deeper about what Vivek said that people are having an issue with, because there's a huge meltdown that is happening, particularly on Twitter. If you can imagine, he said the reason top tech companies often hire foreign born and first generation engineers over Native Americans isn't because of an innate American IQ deficit. He says here in parentheses, a lazy and wrong explanation. Lazy. Lazy. A key part of it comes down to the C word, culture. Tough questions demand tough answers. And if we really are serious about fixing the problem, we have to confront the truth. Our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long, at least since the 90s and likely longer. That doesn't start in college. It starts young. A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers. So even if you agree with that part there about celebrating the prom queen over the math Olympiad, you know, that's one part, but there's a piece that he leaves out there that I think is incredibly important about the best engineers. And I have worked in engineering programs, so I know this from firsthand experience. Part of the reason why a country like Germany has some of the best engineers is because they can afford to go to college. A lot of people leave this part of the equation out. If you are living in a country where a bachelor's degree is free, more people are going to be willing to go to college because they can afford to go. So there's that. Now, are there issues within our K through 12 system in this country? Absolutely. I've talked about it over and over and over again. But this is not just about celebrating the prom queen. It comes down to funding public education in this country. And what I have been raging about, I feel like since the very start of the show, having worked in public education, is that the fact that these public schools are funded based on property taxes automatically sets some of these students up at a disadvantage. Your education should not be based on your zip code, but it is, at least here in the United States. So if you really want to help improve the education system in the United States, the first thing you have to do is you have to remove this rule of funding public schools based on property taxes, because that's why we see like these, inadequacies in different zip codes. Everybody should be able to get the same quality education in this country, and they do not. That being said, when it comes to STEM in particular, STEM has increased in the United States over the past 10 years. I know this. I've worked in STEM programs. I'm very familiar with this. Is it on the same level as some of the other countries? No, not yet. Like our STEM is not on the same level as China, for example, but it has improved and has increased over the years. So I think, again, if they really want to fix this issue, once again, they have to deal with the money. And this is what people don't want to get into. They don't want to get into the why. And if you look at the why, it goes back to the money. I went to a Dodge school. So for people who are not aware what that is, those of us that had parents that were in the military, if we lived overseas, we attended what you would call a Dodge school. So those schools are funded fully by the federal government. I didn't have to pay for any activity in a Dodge school when I was in school overseas in Germany. When I was in the band, I didn't have to pay for my instrument. When I was on the basketball team, I didn't have to pay for my uniform. Now, if the federal government can do that for the Dodge schools, the federal government should have been doing that for public schools in the United States so that everybody has the same opportunity. You should not have to have parents that were a part of the armed forces for you to receive that opportunity. So that in itself needs to be adjusted, but always follow the money and you'll receive the answer to a lot of your questions here. He goes on to say, a culture that venerates Corey from Boy Meets World, or Zach and Slater over Screech and Saved by the Bell, or Stefan over Steve Urkel in Family Matters will not produce the best engineers. Fact. I know multiple sets of immigrant parents in the 90s who actively limited how much their kids could watch those TV shows precisely because they promoted mediocrity, and their kids went on to become wildly successful STEM graduates. More movies like Whiplash, fewer reruns of Friends, more math tutoring, fewer sleepovers, more weekend science competitions, fewer Saturday morning cartoons, more books, less TV, more creating, less chilling, more extracurriculars, less hanging out at the mall. So this is actually a class issue, because if you can afford, if you are living a lifestyle where you're not working on the weekends, then you can take your kids to those math competitions. Listen, I know this firsthand. Like I said, my family was not wealthy. They weren't poor, but I know firsthand that there were certain things when we came back to the States that all of a sudden in the education system, they did have to pay for. I was at a disadvantage compared to when I lived in Germany, and the Dodge schools and these activities were free. So when I was on the debate team, for example, in order to participate in those debate competitions, you need, guess what? Money. You need money. And my parents didn't always have all this money to send me to those debate competitions. So one of the things that my school did, and my debate coach did, is they opened up the opportunity for you to receive a sponsorship. So we went to different law firms to get sponsorships to help pay for those debate competitions. And that's how I was able to travel to a lot of those competitions, because the traveling does cost money. That's another thing that Vivek, I feel like he's leaving out. This is a class issue. Not every parent has the money, and particularly in this country, to help their kids have some type of math tutoring. Tutoring isn't free. It costs money. Going to these competitions on the weekend, that also requires money. It also requires that as a parent, you're not working on the weekend. This is an assumption that the parents are working a Monday through Friday, 9-to-5 job. There are many parents in this country that are working on the weekend, whether they're waiting tables, whether they're working retail. The average job for a middle-aged woman in this country is retail, by the way. So this goes to show you the class issue that Vivek is not familiar with. His parents, when they came to this country, they already came here with degrees. So they had a college degree before they came here. His parents were in professions where they were able to allow him to have those types of opportunities. But a lot of the parents that I have met over the years are not. So we have to address the class issue there. It goes on to say, most normal American kids view those kinds of, most normal American parents look skeptically at those kinds of parents. More normal American kids view those kinds of kids with scorn. If you grow up aspiring to normalcy, normalcy is what you will achieve. Again, he's leaving out the class issue. Now, close your eyes and visualize which families you knew in the 90s or even now who raised their kids according to one model versus the other. Be brutally honest. Normalcy doesn't cut in a hyper competitive global market for technical talent. And if we pretend like it does, we will have our asses handed to us by China. This can be a Sputnik moment. Again, he mentions China, but he doesn't want to mention the fact that China's poverty rate is nowhere near as high when you compare it to the United States. Their homelessness rate is lower, significantly lower than the United States. Our homelessness rate has continued to increase and increase dramatically in 2024. So he's leaving out the class issue again. This can be our Sputnik moment. We've awakened from slumber before, and we can do it again. Trump's election hopefully marks the beginning of a new golden era in America, but only if our culture fully wakes up. A culture that once again prioritizes achievement over normalcy, excellence over mediocrity, nerdiness over conformity, hard work over laziness. So here's Vivek Ramaswamy calling Americans lazy. Oh, and this is the one I think that really hit the nerve with MAGA supporters. That's the work we have cut out for us, rather than wallowing in victimhood and just wishing or legislating alternative hiring practices into existence. I'm confident we can do it. So the big key that he leaves out here in this monologue of his is that the class issue plays a significant factor. And if you don't have the money or the resources to do the things that Vivek wants you to do, I'm not talking about which TV shows you watch, but if you don't have those resources, you are not going to be able to give your kids those opportunities. That part is very important. So that was Vivek, and people came after Vivek. People came after him. They are not happy. They said, I know you're not calling us lazy. KB says Vivek came through and said, you white folks don't raise your kids the way that Asians do. He said, you white folks don't raise your kids the right way like Asians do. And of course, like I said, people took offense to this, but it wasn't just Vivek. Elon Musk also hopped on this train, and people are coming after him. He's losing his mind. He is suspending Twitter accounts that apparently disagreed with him in a Twitter space, which we'll get into in just a second. Elon Musk said, author, this dude is done. This is the real Confederate mindset. Oh my God. The reason I'm in America, along with so many critical people who built SpaceX, Tesla, and hundreds of other companies that made America strong, is because of H-1B. Take a big step back and fuck yourself in the face. I will go to war on this issue, the likes of which you cannot possibly comprehend. So Elon Musk is telling MAGA supporters to go fuck themselves. This is someone who bought his way into the Trump administration, literally bought his way in. What did I tell you about Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy? I warned you about them. I warned you significantly, especially about Elon Musk. And now they're showing their whole ass, right? Showing their whole ass. So he went on this rampage where he decided that he was going to suspend accounts. He was going to block people. He's removing the blue check mark for some people. Apparently, Laura Loomer was one of these accounts that was removed with the blue check mark. Listen to this. Evan says, okay, I'm agreeing with Laura Loomer and Ann Coulter. I just need to go lie down for a minute. Yeah, this is wild, fam. Elon Musk said Loomer is trolling for attention. Ignore. Laura Loomer said telling the truth isn't trolling. Read the room, Elon Musk. You bought your way into MAGA 5 minutes ago after Trump almost had his head blown off in Butler. Remember when you voted for Biden and propped up Governor Ron DeSantis and you said Trump was too old? We all know you only donated your money so you could influence immigration policy and protect your buddy Xi Jinping. This is very interesting, folks. Laura Loomer, for those who are not aware, is conservative, is a Trump supporter. And for her to take this approach is very, very interesting. Very interesting. That was when she still had her blue check, by the way. Ann Coulter jumped in it or stepped in it. Is that what we're saying these days? Stepped in it. American workers can leave a company. Imported H-1B workers can't. Tech wants indentured servants, not high-skilled workers. Let's talk about the exploitation, because this is something that Elon Musk and Vivek are not mentioning as well. This is another example of the corporate class exploiting the workers. This is another example of the oligarchy pitting the workers against each other. Let me explain to you how this works. If you have an H-1B visa, you can't just quit your job. If the conditions at your job are unbearable, if your boss is a dick to you, you can't just quit your job. You have to, continue the conditions of your visa. Otherwise, you can lose your H-1B visa and you have to go back home. Knowing that, these corporations, of course, they want to continue to hire H-1B because they know you're not going anywhere. They know that they can treat you any type of way and you are not going anywhere, most likely. That is exploitation of the worker. Now, what happens along with that when it comes to American workers? Let's go through the top to bottom, or we'll do bottom to top worker infrastructure here in the United States. When we go, let's start with the lowest paid. The lowest paid workers, and who often sometimes work for free, prison workers. That's prison labor. Next, after prison labor, are the undocumented immigrants. They are paid very low because, again, the corporations know that they're not here under a legal status. So the corporations are going to pay them less, and there's nothing what are they going to do? Complain? They don't have legal status. They're not protected. If they complain, they know they're going to be deported. Prison labor, undocumented immigrants, and then next, the H-1B visas. Because even those people, even going into some of those tech jobs, they're offered lower salaries than the American workers that are going into those tech jobs. I've seen this firsthand. Again, what are you going to do? Are you going to complain about it? Do you want the H-1B visa or not? If you complain about it, then you don't get the visa, and then you have to go back home. So I just went through the exploitation of labor, who's at the very bottom. And as we make our way up in this country, and of course, you all know who's at the top, and that's the billionaire class. So they're exploiting the workers and pitting the workers against each other. That's how it works. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy want to continue exploiting the workers. They want to continue to bring in more H-1B visas because they can pay them less. Does everyone not understand what is happening? Does everyone not understand what the ultimate goal is at the end of the day? They're both entrepreneurs. They own their own companies. Don't forget, Elon was against the Tesla workers who wanted to unionize. They're not for the workers. Everyone got it? Get it? Good. That's what you have to understand about this entire situation. And it goes on more here. As you can see, he went on to suspend accounts. Elon Musk is retaliating against everyone that went against him in a Twitter space, which I'll show you in just a second, suspending them, seemingly trying to get rid of the evidence. The dude is in full on meltdown mode. Yes, he is. Look at all these people. So Dalton, Project Groyper, these are right-wing accounts from what I understand. Kaiser Rev, Classic Grope. This is Elon Musk not getting his way. Oh, I don't like the fact that you said something bad about me, so I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of your account. You see how the billionaire class behaves when you don't do what they want you to do? So I'll show you, and put this up here. I want to show you what he said in that Twitter space, because wait till you hear this. I mean, they're calling Americans lazy. They're calling Americans crackheads. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, crackheads. So listen to this. Now, apparently he's under a different account. This man here, Jim Stewartson, said, breaking, Elon Musk is using a cheesy voice modifier on his Adrian Dittman account. Says MAGA will have to fucking deal with it. Listen to this, fam.
And ironically enough, some elements of the extreme legacy MAGA movement will have to deal with it as well. Because that's how it is. And don't hate the fucking big tech bros. Because out of all of them, Elon is the only one that's giving all of these crackheads a fucking voice. I want you to try and pull that shit on fucking Facebook and see how long you last. You ungrateful motherfuckers, seriously.
See how he's talking down to MAGA supporters. Are you going to take that? Because online, they're not taking it. They're not happy with this. Are you guys going to put up with that? Are you going to put up with him calling people crackheads? What? And calling you ungrateful? Ay. Showing his whole class.
You keep crying censorship this, censorship that. You're not censored. Your takes just suck. Get over it and get over yourselves. Honestly. I'm not an enemy of anyone, but if you hate me for saying this, so fucking be it. I don't care. I'm part of what's new. You get to make that choice yourself. Do better.
And then he tells you to do better. The nerve of him. And something else I wanted to show you as well. It's not just those tech jobs. That is also a common misconception because even Amazon, let's check this out. Suffy said, anyways, Amazon just had 9,200 warehouse jobs be approved for H-1B for 2024. These are warehouse jobs. So these aren't tech jobs. This is in the tech industry. Yes, because retail trade, warehouse labor is the best of the best and definitely can't be filled by your average American. Does everybody see what's happening? What did I tell you? What did I tell you? And you can see this here because he put the numbers up here. Actually, let me come back so you can see it a little bit closer. Amazon Com Services, LLC. They even put the tax ID up here. Arlington, Virginia, which is right outside of DC. Initial approval, 2,288. Continuing approval, 6,667. When you put those two together, that gives you that 9,200 number there. So again, like I told you, it's not just about the tech industry. That's a convenient and easier excuse for them to use, right? Because they know that STEM is not as high here as it is in some of the other countries. But even Amazon warehouse is doing this as well. So when the workers go on strike at Amazon, remember this. Remember why they're on strike. They are replacing those workers with workers that can come in and do the work for cheaper labor. It's about cheaper labor. And that's the point that you have to hit home with. I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't see how Vivek and Elon really recover from this one. You guys decided to get on an American first team. And now you are sitting up here telling Americans that they're crazy or lazy. Elon's calling people crackheads and that you are ungrateful. So my question to MAGA supporters, are you going to put up with this? Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.